The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Milt is freaking today, Milishman. My name is King Prime, and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at, once again, well, not a necessarily new figure, but a good figure nonetheless from the Transformers The Studio Series 86 line. That being Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Jazz. So here is the packaging for that, and I will zoom out just a little bit so we can take a look at all of it all at once. As you can see, there's a nice artist render of Jazz there. This is familiar. I've seen this this artist render of Jazz somewhere before. I'm not quite sure where, though. On the side there, we have another picture of Jazz. Same one, just blown up a little bit. Deluxe Class Studio Series 8601. This is the first figure in the Studio Series line, and a pretty good one at that. As you can tell, this is not a new figure because of the plastic included on the packaging. All the packaging has now gone plastic free, as some of us may know. On the front, we have the Transformers the movie trades, Hasbro 8 Plus, all that stuff. Autobot Jazz, Transformers in big lettering along the sides, Takara trades, Transformers Generation trades, as well as the authentic Transformers trades, which indicates that this is not a third-party figure, but instead a official Hasbro product. Up at the top, Jazz and the 86 line on the slip cover, so that you can use the insert, which I will look at in a minute. On the back, we have the product shot of Jazz in both his robot and vehicle mode. Some text there talking about big screen inspired and other things such as that, as well as a little one-sentence bio of what Jazz was doing in the movie. That being, of course, escaping Moonbase 1. Legal jargon that no one gives a crap about, more legal jargon. And that's pretty much it. So, overall, a pretty basic box. On the inside of it, however, you do, of course, just like with all of these Studio Series 86 figures, get the display insert, which in this case is the Moonbase 1, with the 86, Studio Series 86 on both sides, and the little display stand. But I'm not going to lie, I don't care about these things. It's a nice reference, but I don't need it, because as I say in every single one of my videos, you only really care about the packaging if you are a mint in box or mint on card collector, of which I'm not. I'm here to review a toy, and that is what I'm going to do. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze, and here is Jazz in all his glory. And I can hear what you may be wondering. King Prime, why are you reviewing this figure? This is an old figure. This is the first of the Studio Series 86 figures. Well, my friends, what I'll tell you right now, at least, is that the lull of vintage collection figures, even though I know our previous review was a vintage collection figure, has kind of, dwindled. There hasn't been many vintage collection releases. The Imperial Gunner was the first of the vintage collection figures that I've received in months. So we're reviewing some of the new old stock of Transformers figures, which I've been meaning to look at since I've recently been enjoying Transformers quite a bit, because in recent years I'd kind of gotten away from it. Transformers was a huge part of my life as a kid. And once Combiner Wars rolled around, after Transformers Prime had died, after RID had lost my interest, I didn't really stick around with it. And so I'm finally coming back to an era which is recognizing all of Transformers history, as well as innovating with new awesome figures such as this. And it's kind of piqued my interest, and Jazz is one of those characters from the original G1 cartoon, as well as Transformers 86 and other Transformers media, which I have come to know and love. In my opinion, there can't be Autobots without at least some iteration of Jazz. And that reigns true, at least with Studio Series 86, of which he was the first of the releases. Before I take a look at this Jazz figure, though, let's take a look at his accessory, which is just a very nice homage to his G1 blaster pistol. It is good that you have the option. It is, of course, picked out in that nice silver paint that we've all come to know and love with the Transformers line. And that's pretty much it for that. Moving on to Jazz, however, He is a very pretty figure, and let me move him into the light so we can actually get a good look at his detail. So moving in, he has that same silver paint, which I was just gushing about, on his faceplate, which is very nice, as well as a nice baby blue for his visor, which is so iconic at this point. We all know it. We all love it. The head sculpt is phenomenal, and that's something I've noticed a lot with these Studio Series 86 figures, or even with these Earthrise and Legacy figures, is that the head sculpts have just been out of this world and very accurate to the G1 character model. That looks very nice indeed, and of course it is on a ball joint, but I'll save that for the articulation section. Moving on down the figure, it is very plain, kind of in robot mode, and I will echo the lazy eyebrow sentiments as to what I believe this figure is lacking from. It is suffering a lot from lack of paint and or lack of decals that were used in the real life vehicle mode. And of course there are Toy Hacks repro labels, all that stuff that you can use for the vehicle mode, but I don't really care about that stuff. I like displaying my Transformers in robot mode, and that's the way that Jazz is going to be displayed when he's in my collection. So that is the way he's going to stay. Though he does have a lot of nice sculpted detailing, which, I mean, if you really wanted to, if you're so into it, you could possibly do some panel lining here. Though I wouldn't recommend it. I think it looks fine enough without. He has the nice Autobot sigil right there with that, I'd call this horizon blue instead of baby blue stripe, which in vehicle mode is all the way down the front section of where the hood would be on the car. On his chest, he does have those lights picked out in, again, baby blue. Moving down, he does have silver on his abdomen and some more blue on his groin area, which is molded in that black plastic. More white continuing down with his thighs, and nice silver paint for the calves and the feet. Moving around the back here, we do have the continuation of that stripe that I was talking about on the hood. Continues on to the roof of the car. And the back of the figure is kind of hollow. And that's about it for the looks of this figure. I think it looks great, and it looks very plain, but that's kind of just how the G1 cartoon looked, and it's very accurate to the G1 cartoon in my opinion. As for the articulation of this figure, like I said earlier, you do have a ball joint at the head, even though it's a little bit limited. You have a hinge outwards at the shoulder, and as I pointed out with Studio Series 86 Ironhide, this does have a pretty interesting piece of molded plastic here, which kind of makes it look like a tendon or a piston or something. I don't know what this would be called in Cybertronian lore, but it's essentially just an extension of the arm to make it look more natural when you extend it. This, of course, can go all the way around, 360, such as that. There is a hinge at the upper bicep as well, so you can get a swivel there, as well as a nice, soft, ratcheted hinge. I think that's a ratchet, at least. It feels like a ratchet. Yes, it is. I can see it in there. Nice, soft, ratcheted elbow, which can only go about 90 degrees, but it's not that bad. Nothing at the wrist, unfortunately, but you do have a hinge there for transformation. Nothing at the diaphragm joint or anything, but he does a nice swivel at the waist here, as well as a double jointed hinge at the hips. As you can see, it can go forward about that far, as well as about that far out and that far backwards, which is always good to see. You have a peg into the thigh as well, so you can have a upper thigh swivel, as well as a hinge at the knee, so you can get about, without the transformation spoiling itself, you can get about that far of a rotation at the knee, and there is some toe articulation for transformation, and a very nice ankle pivot, so you can get Jazz doing the fullest of full splits, as you can see. So now that the articulation is out of the way, let's take a look at this guy's transformation. Freeze frame.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back.
Freeze frame on freeze. Actually, I lied. Before we get into the transformation of this figure, let me do a quick size comparison with some other figures. So here is Jazz next to the Legacy Wild Rider, our previous Transformers review. Here he is next to the golden standard of action figures himself, the Dark Times Darth Vader. And here he is next to Mr. Nostalgia himself, Transformers Classics 06. Optimus Prime, who he is still considerably shorter than. This Prime is apparently the exact same height as the Voyager, Earthrise, and War for Cybertron, so I'm pretty sure that this lines up about equally to that figure, so if you're more used to that as a comparison, you can base your judgment off of this one. So that is that. That's how they all look together. Now, let's get on to the transformation freeze frame. Freeze frame unfreeze. So to start off the transformation of this figure, just real quick, I'm going to give a sort of a warning. On the back of this figure, his entire backpack here is made of this trans clear blue plastic, and you want to be very careful with this stuff, because I have seen multiple instances where this stuff is broken. Mine is good. I've had no problems with it. It flexes okay, but I would be very, very careful with this stuff if I were you. I don't want to break my figure. You don't want to break your figure. None of us want to break our figure, so be careful. All right. So getting started with the transformation on this guy, I just like to start untabbing stuff. So first, you want to make sure you get this backpack out of the way. Just lift it up right there. We'll do some more transformation to this in a minute. And untab the chest here. As you can see, there is a little piece here with these two slots in it. These two tabs. These tab together for the robot mode. Just untab them like that. Then you can fold in his wrists like so. And start extending the chest upwards. Now you can see some robot guts and things of that nature. Then you can come back to the backpack and unfold his doors just about halfway. The reason for this is because you want enough room to fold this clear blue piece that becomes the back windshield of the car mode, so that it's fully extended like that. Then the doors can just be splayed out to the sides like this. Then you see this silver piece that was his abdomen. You want to hold on to the top of the car and then rotate that piece around so that it goes into the back. Make sure his arms are straight like this. And then you're going to do something that I find a little bit tricky. This piece right here that was tabbed into the chest is actually part of the vehicle mode's hood. And what you're going to want to do is take the head, robot mode head, and push it down while keeping this car mode up. So as you can see, it slouches a little bit. Make sure it's pressed all the way up, and then you can press the vehicle mode head, or the robot mode head, through the hole, where it can then rest all the way at the bottom, and then push this part all the way back up and through, so that we have a nice clean hood there. You can fold down the top of the car for now. We're going to go back to the arms here. And the one thing you're going to want to make sure with the arms is that this piece right here is rotated inwards like this. So that when you rotate at the wheel section, that it's facing outwards when the transformation is completed, because this is going to tab into this slot right here on the door. Same thing on the other side. Make sure it's facing inside. Rotate it at the shoulder. And then you have another tab facing outside. There we go. That's all good. And now we can move on to the legs. Legs are very simple. You basically have this aperture at the knee, which you saw untab when I was doing the articulation. But there is a little slot right there, as you can see, and a little tab right there, which they just tab together. Not very securely, but they do tab together. All you just want to do is untab that, and then fold the shin up onto the thigh, kind of like Combiner Wars do all the time. Then you can just fold up the feet and rotate down the wheels at that joint like that. Then you can close up the hood onto the back of the vehicle mode. There are two tabs that you will feel, and I'll untab it real quick so you can actually see what the hell I was just talking about. There will be two tabs right here that are on the back of the shins that will tab into the back of the vehicle mode's rear windscreen. You just push that down and that will tab all together. Make sure the front of the windshield is nice and flush as well. Might be some fiddling you have to do with the robot mode head, which does like to move around a little bit during the transformation. but with a little bit of force, you can get it in there. And then you just fold down the doors and ensure that these arms are in fact tabbed into the doors. And you are just about set there. That is Studio Series 86 Jazz in vehicle mode. And as you can see, it is a nice compact little package here. Going into some of the detailing, it is much nicer with the panel lining, even though there is, of course, like I said, no black details or anything. There is a lot of sculpted detail on the hood of the car. The same red stripe, which continues all the way up into the roof, and of course the Autobot tampograph on the front. The 14 tampograph on the side. It used to be 4 on the G1 release, but it was changed to 14 for copyright reasons, is what I assume. Silver wheels picked out in that nice paint, even though that the front wheel does have that kind of a peg system that I hate on these newer Transformers figures, but that's fine. Spoiler as well, completely unpainted, which is kind of disappointing, and the same, nothing on the back at all. It's not bad for what it is. It's definitely a recognizable silhouette. I can definitely, as a Transformers fan, tell that this is Jazz. It's just that it does kind of look a little bland, but I'm not going to display my Jazz in vehicle mode. I'm going to display him in robot mode. As you can tell, though, there's a peg on the top of the roof here, which you can plug Jazz's blaster in if I don't throw it at the camera first. Just like that. So that is an option you can have, a little unicorn car, which is very nice. For comparison, we will bring in the Legacy Transformers Wild Rider and the Transformers Classics 06 Optimus Prime. And a comparison that I forgot in our previous segment, here he is next to a normal Lego minifigure, such as Luke Skywalker. And they look very nice together. It looks almost in scale. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'll have to watch the Lazy Eyebrows review again, because he talks all the time about the scale of these guys. If he's in scale with the Lego minifigure, I'm not quite sure, but it would be nice if he was. But without further ado, let's actually talk about what I think about Jazz in the final thoughts. Freeze frame. Freeze frame, unfreeze. So, as you can probably expect, I think that this guy is absolutely fantastic. I have a few gripes with him, mainly just the lack of paint apps or really anything that makes this guy stand out other than just white robot. But overall, it's pretty alright. Even the hollow bits, like the inside of his thigh and his hands, they don't really bother me all that much. I guess I'm just quickly becoming used to it with these new Transformers figures. The articulation that we're able to get with these guys and the detail that they've packed in is so much better than anything that I got when I was a kid. I absolutely love this figure, and I love Jazz, so this is a no-brainer pickup for me. For you, I definitely think you should get it if you're a Jazz fan. Not the biggest Jazz fan, but you're a Transformers fan in general, maybe. This is just a definite pickup for me. I really like this figure. The only thing that I really wish it could do is wrist articulation. That's the only thing I miss. I review a lot of Star Wars stuff, and this is quite different from that, but it's not bad different. It's just different, and I think I need to temper my expectations from the Vintage Collection to Transformers, because that's a completely different design team, a design process. There's a lot more nuance to Transformers than there is for VC. But overall, this figure is awesome, and I think that I will be getting a bunch more of these Transformers 86 figures. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. More coming, always. So you can probably already assume. But anyway, my friends, if you like Jazz, if you like the Autobots, if you like Transformers, or any of these Transformers figures that are coming out recently, make sure you share this video with all your friends. Make sure you share it with your Facebook groups. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. It really helps the channel grow. Really helps me keep making this content for you. That's going to be it for this video, my friends. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace.